to JT Draws. You're coming to this one kind of half-started because it wasn't one I was originally intending on recording. I've got a bit of a deadline to hit, and I just kind of got cracking. But I got about half an hour in and realized that I'm using a technique that could be worth talking about. If I had to give it a name, I would call this edge blending. Basically what I'm doing is using a pastel blender to lay in my foundations of the drawing very, very softly, almost like using an airbrush in Photoshop. And I don't think I've even used a pencil at all here. Not yet, I will do that later. The gist of this is to get a working base of the drawing in here, with like putting a few shadows in there, putting the vague idea of edges in. But what I want is a really soft effect, especially in kind of the hair and in sides of the face, because I'm going for a look that's a little bit 3D, that has some depth to it, kind of like when you take a photo with a nice camera, how you get that kind of falling off of focus. That's really what I'm trying to go for here. And so I laid down a general shape and a little bit of hair outline and some other features just very softly with the pastel blender. And then I will be drawing over top of it with pencils, trying to keep that softness in the aspects that I want to keep a little bit blurry, a little bit hazy. Now, if you watch this and you decide this is an effect that you would like to achieve yourself, then you don't need to use the exact tool that I'm using. You could get a similar effect by using like a cotton bud, or a blending stump, or even maybe a small hard paintbrush would probably work as well. I haven't tried that one. But the important thing is to make sure there's a bit of charcoal or a bit of graphite already on the tip of whatever instrument you're using. And for this one, I did dip the tip of the pastel blender in a little bit of charcoal powder, I think it was. It seemed to work quite well on this paper. Now, I want to talk about the benefits of edge blending. Aside from just the depth that you can obtain with it, I find that if I put my structure in with pencils, I can get a little bit attached to where things are. It feels like they're a bit more fixed in place. This technique feels far less permanent, at least in my mind. So I find it's a really good way to start, and you can really push things around without getting too attached to certain areas of the drawing. You'll see as this one goes on that I really move things around especially the eyes. I was struggling to get the eyes exactly how I wanted them with this one, but having that soft base in there, I think, helped me readjust things as I went. Now, another benefit is that you can really take a lot of shortcuts with this. So aside from just blending the edges and making them soft, you'll see that I've run the blender into various kind of shaded areas that I'll build up on later. But this is just a really nice way of getting things started, so I don't have to work quite as hard to build up my values with the pencil later on. And then, of course, there's the ultimate benefit, at least for me, in that it helps you achieve a sense of realism. Because really, when you think about it, faces or people or anything organic or natural really doesn't have edges. It has contours and shading and just varying levels of gradations. If you were to put edges in here, then you start to get an animated, cartoony kind of look, and it's not what I'm going for. So by starting off with blended edges, and then if I later make some lines, as you'll see I do, kind of around the wrinkles in his face and even at the sides of the face there, if I then run the blender across those harder areas and soften them out, I get a much more pleasing, realistic result. Though that isn't to say that I will get rid of every line that pops up. As I said, I'm on a bit of a deadline. I might run out of time to blend everything as smoothly as I'd like. But there are times when you might like to make a bit of a stylistic choice to either draw attention to a certain area of the drawing or just to simplify a certain shape. And that's when lines can be useful. But in general with this one, I was going for soft or invisible edges. Now I'm getting close to putting the final touches on this drawing, and you might recognize that it's not quite up to the level of the thumbnail for this video. And that is because I really was running out of time. I had a few hours to put this one together, and it wasn't, I was struggling to get it to where I wanted to. And so I actually had to scan this one before it was quite finished and put some final touches in on the computer. And I think that will be a good follow-up video for this. So I'm going to make a second video for this drawing where I explain my process of scanning, editing, and kind of really punching up a drawing so that it's ready to publish. So just a fairly short video this week. I hope it was helpful, and if you have any questions, please put them below, and I will see you next time.